So we have a quorum, and it's 6:30. So we should probably get started right away. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good to see you all. Okay, we'll get started since it's 6:30. We'll be prompt. Welcome to the September 21st, 2021 meeting of the Community Relations Committee. We'd like to thank Easthampton Media for recording tonight's meeting. All past meetings of the CRC can be found on our city website for viewing at any time. All committee members and participants in this meeting are gathered remotely during the COVID-19 pandemic under an executive order of Governor Baker on March 12, 2020, and is extended by him on June 16, 2021, allowing us to do so. For the benefit of those of you who are joining us from the community, I'd like to start this meeting by sharing our committee's mission statement. Our mission is to promote positive relations throughout Easthampton's diverse population. We will work to build a sense of inclusion, community, and pride where community members feel welcome, accepted, and valued. And we'll begin tonight's meeting with a roll call. Rebecca Passa.
Here.
Patty Dougherty. Emily Britton.
Here.
Margaret's not with us tonight. Jan Norman.
Here.
Myra Oyedemi.
Here.
Gabby Stevenson.
Here.
And Deborah Lusnia, present. Okay. Thank you all for being here. First up on the agenda we have is the approval of the minutes from our meeting. First of all, our meeting on August 3rd, 2021. Do we have a motion to approve? And then I'll open it up for comments. Okay, we have a motion to approve from Emily. Is there a second?
I second.
Myra seconded it. Okay, is there any comments, suggestions? Anything to add? No? Okay, all right. It looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes from August 3rd, 2021, as presented by Rebecca?
It'd have to be a roll call.
Right, sorry, I always forget. Rebecca?
Approve.
Emily?
I see a thumbs up, but we need to, the recording doesn't pick it up, you know, unless we hear her.
I approve, yes.
Thank you.
Jan Norman?
Approve.
Myra Oyedemi?
Yes, approve.
Gabby Stevenson?
Same.
Awesome, Deborah Lusnia, yes. Okay, so motion passes. Next up is the approval of the minutes from the work session on August 24th, 2021, as presented by Rebecca. Is there a motion to approve?
I can motion to approve.
Thank you, Emily.
Yes.
Is there a second? Okay, well, I'll second that motion. Are there any comments, suggestions, corrections? No. Okay, we have a motion to approve and we have a second. Roll call vote. Rebecca Passa?
Approve.
Emily Britton?
Yes, approve.
Jan Norman?
Approve.
Myra Oyedemi?
Abstain.
Gabby Stevenson?
Abstain.
Abstain? Okay, and I also approve. Deborah Lusnia. So 1, 2, 3, 4 approvals out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. So that is acceptable. So the motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, next on the agenda, correspondence, announcements. I do not have any. Does anyone else have any correspondence or announcements they'd like to share at this time? No. Okay. Next up is public speak. It doesn't look like we have anyone here who's wanting to address the committee. So I'm just going to move on from that segment and we'll move to the next part of our agenda, which is an update from Rebecca and I on our conversation with Lindsay Mailer from the mayor's office regarding the city website. Specifically, we wanted to learn more about the Notify Me program and basically get a better handle on what the city's vision is for the calendar on the website, for the way it's functioning for reaching people, what are their goals, and how can we possibly support their goals, help promote it or build off of it, to use it as a communication tool for us, for other city uses, etc. So we met with Lindsay on September 14th, and Rebecca, I'll turn it over to you to provide an update from our conversation.
Yes, so as Deb said, we met with Lindsay on the 14th, and already having noticed the updates to the website and
Excuse me, Rebecca, I'm sorry, can I interrupt 1 second? I just got a text message from Patty saying she needs to be let into the meeting.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I wish the setting was set to ring, but that's an Easthampton setting, so I don't always notice. Sorry about that. Sorry, Patty.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt. So just a quick update. Rebecca's updating everyone on a meeting with Lindsay Mailer from the mayor's office. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead, Rebecca.
Yes, so Deb and I went to the mayor's office to see Lindsay. And as we had noticed last time, there are significant updates to the city website, including a centralized calendar that, at least as I understand from Lindsay, is designed to serve the city committees. It's possible to subscribe to notifications. You can choose all the committees you want and be notified by email, or I think also by text if you choose that agendas are posted and different things. Questions that I had is like, how far out would this, to what extent is this calendar available to the public for public events, things like that? But it sounds like it's really designed to support the city related events. Of course, Easthampton Council for the Arts is part of the city, so I think that, for example, Cultural Chaos would be listed on it. But when I asked about other events, other organizations in town, it just seemed like that. Lindsay found that to be a very work-intensive idea. So it does look promising in terms of improving communications, but in terms of everything that we've discussed about, can we have a centralized place where people can go to see what's happening, or different questions like that. It's not, let's just say it's not really a complete dream come true, right? So it's not going to support everybody's events in town in terms of being able to list it on there. Again, a work-intensive idea. I had some questions about whether there would be a way, whether by a city liaison or what, to somehow keep better abreast of what city committees are doing or things that we should know about that are going on. But again, that's an intense idea because there are many, many city committees. And even to have somebody try to go through and see what the committees are doing to summarize that would be very intensive. So at least with current staffing, that didn't seem like something that could be supported. And it seemed like Lindsay even thought with a new staff person, at least for what I was asking, that sort of work seemed pretty intense to go through all committee notices or meetings to see what could be highlighted, and then who makes the choice of what you highlight and all that kind of a thing. So these were questions I had and what I got out of it, but let me also ask you to chime in, Deb, with any further impressions. And you had ideas about supporting it, right? Getting the word out.
Yeah, well, I was just looking to better understand their vision for scope of use of this. And as Rebecca said, it was kind of a good news, bad news situation. Like on some level, it's exciting because it is a tool to get out there and have people be able to sign up for exactly what they want to be notified about, which is awesome, which is wonderful. The bad news might be that currently Lindsay doesn't seem as though she's not exactly clear on the scope that she's willing to include for information for like a citywide calendar. It's not exactly clear, but very cautious about the workload involved, knowing that it could take on a life of its own. So, so it's something. I think it's exciting. It's good that we have some tool. Of course, I think the bigger challenges too is like how to get as many people as possible in the city to sign up for it and get these notifications and become connected, because that's the bigger challenge. So I asked about their goals and any plans, what plans they have to promote it. And so she said she thought there was discussion of having some kind of mailing going out in the future to all residents to tell them about it and encourage their participation. So I personally offered any assistance in helping out with that promotional piece. But I was pleased to hear that that might happen. And yeah, so I it's a good tool. I think we could probably help promote it and work with that. Yet it may not be any kind of quick fix that's going to be just all encompassing right off the bat. So I guess that's the summary. Anybody have any questions or suggestions or comments or?
My comment is, it seems like a good starting place. It seems from, a place of having limited information to people, being able to have more options that are easy. But of course, it doesn't take the burden of scrolling through multiple minutes. Like there's not an at a glance. But perhaps we can be brainstorming some other ideas that are maybe less labor intensive. And I could maybe think of one, but I'm not sure what their workload is, to just maybe include events that are happening on municipal property, that are instead of every organization or every whatever every happening, but just at least the ones that are happening on municipal property. Mm-hmm. And if there aren't more comments, I forgot to make an announcement.
Okay, any other comments about this website, city website? Okay, Myra, do you want to share your announcement?
Yes, and that was thanks for the invitation to be able to represent the CRC. I was able to represent the CRC. I've forgotten the date. I think it was 2 Fridays ago. So that did occur, and we were able to liaise with other committees, and there was one person that stopped by with little interest in the CRC.
I forgot to thank you too. Thank you for representing us at that Mill Pond Live event 2 Fridays ago. Yes, so thank you. Definitely thank you for representing us. I forgot to have you provide the update. Thank you.
Thank you, Myra.
My pleasure.
Okay, we'll move on now. I just thought the reason I put the update on the city website ahead of our strategic planning session with Derek is because I thought that information would be really helpful to have because it can impact a lot of different things we talk about. So I want to make sure that that was all shared before we got into our discussion with Derek. But at this time, I'll turn the floor over to Derek Dean from the Department of Justice. Thank you, Derek, for being with us again. We're grateful, and we look forward to kind of wrapping up our strategic planning efforts with you.
So, Deb, I saw Emily had her hand up, and I believe Mr. Rapoulis maybe wanted to speak as well, so I can defer.
Okay, well, typically, once public speak is closed and we've moved on, we're not usually backtracking, but I guess we could make an exception. So, Mr. Rapoulis, is it, you would like to address the committee?
Yes.
Let me just interrupt you for 1 minute. I would just ask that you tell us your name and also where you live. And
Yeah.
also just to let you know that the members of the committee are not able to respond to comments made during public speak, but we will certainly listen to what you have to share with us and appreciate your coming to meet with us.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, I wish I could get rid of this music, but can you hear any music on your end? Classical
No.
music? Okay. All right. Yes, I'm Wally Rapoulis, and I live on 1 South Hampshire Street here in Easthampton. And what I wish to bring to your attention is a letter that goes back. Oh my gosh. Yes, I fell on 45 Cherry Street, and that was quite a while ago. That was last June of 2020, and on 45 on Cherry Street, in front of a resident and the husband and the wife, they saw me fall in front of their residence at 45 Cherry Street. And I broke 3 teeth. And the reason I wanted to bring this to your attention is because the city had filed on my behalf the oh my gosh, I'm sorry. The injury was on June 1st of 2020, and what it from the fall, I received a letter from the claim service that says that they did not, well, my claim in which I had damaged 3 teeth, that was done. Oh dear, I'm sorry. I received a letter from the claims advisor for Sedgwick. Well, Sedgwick, they are the underwriter for Argonaut Insurance Company that handles any claims that are filed on behalf of the city. And what happened is, like I said, I fell in the vicinity on 45 Cherry Street. And the letter that I had received from oh my Lord. The claims that, let me back up, I'm sorry. Laura Wigley, who is the claims examiner for Sedgwick, which is a claims management service that It was determined that the city of Easthampton had no prior notice of any problems in the area in question. Now, I fell and I broke 3 teeth, and that happened on Cherry Street. And I had, and the date of the incident was June 1st of last year. And the reason why I had not made contact with you all up to this point is in the interest of social distancing. So I'm glad that I have this medium in which to address my concern. So
what is your concern? Okay, go ahead. I was just gonna say, what is your concern at this point in time? What is your?
Well, my concern is that the claim management company, Sedgwick, they had made a determination. Well, what I want to do is I want to have my my claim for the 3 broken teeth taken care of, and I had already received I had already prepared for today the estimates for to replace my 3 teeth, complete oral evaluation, perio charting, and intraoral with bite chew. The treatment plan was proposed by Precision Dental Associates of Hadley. They had examined my teeth, and they had come up with this proposed treatment plan. But this is without having oh, jeez. I need I don't want to take up too much time. You've got a long agenda. It looks like that I need 3 teeth replaced as a result of that fall on Cherry Street. And I took a couple of photos of the street that showed what the condition of the street was like before the engineering study was done on Cherry Street in preparation for acceptance of the grant of $3 million. And now the insurance company claims that they had no prior notice of any problems in the area in question as far as the condition of the road, when in fact I fell and
Mr.
I know.
How do you pronounce your last name, Rapellis? What I'm going to suggest is, why don't, I think that our committee probably isn't the best committee to help. What I'm going to suggest is that I'll reach out to perhaps the mayor's office, and I'll look at some offices for city committees to see which committee might be best suited to help you and address your concerns, and then get back to you and make that recommendation for you. How is that? Of who would be best for you to speak with?
Yes, who I
Could
have
you-
had difficulty in reaching are is the mom and dad and their little kid. They were on their front lawn. They were playing with their little one, and Mr. Croceter. His name is Justin. It's Justin and Karen Croceter. I shouldn't mention names because I haven't been able to reach them. But they came over on the when they saw me on the road with my right knee bleeding. So Mr. Croceter, they had bandaged me up as best as they could, and then they did not require any transportation. I think the answer to your question, Deb, is, and to all of you, is to just get in touch with me, and
Can you provide your email address? Can you let me know what your email address is?
my email address is wallace@rapolis.net. That's WALLACE
Yes.
at Rapolis, RAP as in Peter, ALUS
Yep.
.net.
Okay. Okay.
If have you received any of the correspondence that I had sent to the city?
No, we haven't, but that's not terribly surprising because I really think it falls out of our area of focus, out of our missions. So I'm not surprised by that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an email message tomorrow and provide some advice for who you should speak to about your concerns. Okay?
Okay,
All right.
very, very good.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming to speak with us, and I'll get that email off to you with some information tomorrow.
Okay, Deb, thank you
Okay.
very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so we'll move back to our agenda. Derek Dean, thank you for being with us.
Oh, hey, Deb? Deb?
Yes?
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say before, hi, hello, Derek, how you doing? The situation that just presented itself, I see, this group is maybe sometimes people who they don't really know or aren't comfortable. They come to something like a CRC committee to get other information on where they need to go next.
Yeah.
Because that's a big thing with a lot of people. They don't know where, how to get information,
Right.
and sometimes need some assistance.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So true. Okay.
I,
Hopefully we'll do a good job at that.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him, but I wonder whether that letter that he received said anything about an appeal process.
Right.
There are some strict rules about how you approach a municipality with injuries like that. Looks like he already did the right thing since he's already got a letter on it.
Okay. Well, I'll find out as best I can who would be most helpful and get that information to him. Okay.
And I just want to say, I know that, there's movement towards, or at least the desire to have, a mental health crisis team here that's separate from the police. I don't know if that could include, case management, not for crises, since this isn't a real crisis per se. But it's clear that, he needs some assistance or direction, so thanks for offering to help him, Deb.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I don't know of like community social workers who volunteer their time for members of the community, you know, so. Anyway.
Okay.
Deb, you might offer him, you might see if the senior center could help him as well. There might be some some resources there.
Mhm.
Right, I was gonna say elder services
Mhm.
could use some help. So,
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all.
So I guess I'll go. And
Thank you.
we want to say good evening to everyone, and to Myra and John and Gabby. And it's good to see you all again. So I had a couple of questions. This was a perfect example of the priority that we worked on, actually, fostering through education and public information, a general awareness and understanding of community relations and city operations. And so again, in addition to some of his other concerns, the gentleman really didn't know how the city operations worked and where particular complaints should go. So I just thought that was kind of ironic and good. And then it also kind of reinforces the part about enlisting cooperation and knowing what other similarly purposed organizations exist out there, or departments exist out there to support your mission and to support the public. So it was kind of a unique situation, but I thought it kind of wrapped up with the bow some of the concerns that you guys have identified. With your summary about the meeting with Lindsay, was that the end of it, or did you have a follow-up meeting scheduled, or that's you got the information you need and that's it?
That's it for now. Yeah. We kind of understand where they're at, what their goal is,
Okay.
What's available currently.
Okay. And the only reason why I asked that is just because in reviewing my notes, it seemed like there was, for this particular issue, it was not solely, but heavily hoping to kind of partner with the city, or that city's calendar, if you will, to leverage, to promote, again, this concept of community awareness, city operations, et cetera. So does that impact some of the dialogue that we had last week, now that we have that answered?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a mixed bag, because it's great that we have this resource that they've created. And I think if it's promoted really heavily and widely, then it has the potential to really be an amazing tool for us, for the city government, to reach the people and connect the people. Yet there's all these kind of at least current barriers to thinking about how broadly this could be rolled out in terms of scope of information covered, because of staffing concerns. And so we have some unknown there, because I kept referring to the fact that, well, there's been some talk of potentially hiring someone. I think I got that impression that there's been some talk of resources being put into maybe a person to focus on the community relations committee's work. And so there may be an opportunity there that we could capitalize on, some of that time to make this stronger, better, bigger. And so Lindsay didn't seem to be aware of any such potential plan for staffing. And so she was just speaking from her own current situation. And so I guess what I came away with is that there probably isn't a need to try to replicate or duplicate what they're doing. There probably is opportunity to work with them and on this in the future. Like certainly I kind of sort of volunteered us to help with promoting it. Did I sort of, Rebecca? I kind of did, or I volunteered myself. Speaking for myself, I volunteered to help promote it, but kind of talked about the fact that if we worked hard, really, really hard at promoting this, one time, then we wouldn't need to be working really, really hard at promoting every other event that comes along down the road. It's a one-time deal to get people signed up. So I think it's a tool that we're going to be able to use. I think it's something that we should put our energy into. But there's a lot of unknowns in terms of, I guess, what kind of staffing or support hours are we going to have to be able to contribute to this down the road?
Well, one thing we did is we reached out to Lindsay, but we didn't engage the mayor. And where I've heard of ideas on, staffing to help the CRC, I feel like that's part of a mayor's pledge group recommendation. I think when I was reading Department of Justice guidelines, it's in there that some human rights committees have city staffing. So it's a concept. But I think what we still don't know, at least I don't know, I think, we've asked the mayor a few times, like, where are you on your planning, right? Where is she on her thinking about the committee, on appointing new people, on what form it's going to take? And it might be she needs some updates from us, and it might be we need updates from her. And it may, even if Lindsay thought that a staff person to do some of the things I asked about, even if Lindsay thought that was intensive, what I don't know really is what the mayor's possibly thinking about, whether there's more staff support in our future. Right? I think we don't know that, right? But I think the mayor would know more than Lindsay, because the mayor's the one that's worked on the blueprint Easthampton and on, at least signing the mayor's pledge, right, and getting that group going.
So Rebecca, are you suggesting that there be similar to Lindsay, seeking an opportunity to schedule time with the mayor to ask about or update you on her plans? Or no?
I think that in the past in this group I've made the comment because, again, it seems like there's kind of a waiting pattern, right, where she hasn't appointed new committee members, for example. And it seemed like she wanted to let us do some of our strategic planning. And it may be time that we invite her so that we tell her about our strategic planning and ask about her timeline and ask about, things like any thoughts about staff support and whatnot. Does that make sense? But yeah, that's what's on my mind.
Thoughts from other folks on the committee?
I missed the last meeting, but it certainly sounds like we're at the same place we were in terms of that question. But I did have a more short-term idea that might support what Deb and Rebecca were speaking about in terms of supporting, connecting people with governance. And I was just briefly thinking that perhaps we could reach out again to Lindsay, not for any additional tools, but perhaps she could, or someone could devote a portion of their evening to do a how-to of how to navigate the website, where we could have like a screencastify type of thing, so residents can figure out if they haven't. They can have it recorded and seen so that they could practice. That might be a useful tool for people to, for our promotion of the site, and then for people to be able to use it and have like a how-to tutorial. And it also connects branches of governance. So that was a short-term idea.
That's a great idea, Myra, and it could be recorded and put on YouTube, right? And then a link from the website and from the Facebook page, whatever, to how to navigate, where to learn, et cetera, et cetera. So it could always be available, right?
It's a great idea.
So is there consensus to move forward with that? My biggest concern is if we leave something to the side because it's difficult, we'll continue to leave it to the side because it's difficult. And so if we can reach consensus, make an agreement to move forward on an initiative to advance this priority, then I think we're actually implementing some type of plan. So is there a willingness to move forward on Myra's suggestion as well as Rebecca's, or one over the other?
I think that's a fabulous suggestion, Myra. I'd like to see that happen. That's part of educating the community.
Excellent. So Myra, since it was your idea, are you willing to lead this effort?
Okay.
I am the least qualified to speak about technology, but I can certainly do like a follow-up. Is that fine for me to follow up on that? I'm asking to our chairs because I know you're usually in correspondence with people from other committees, but I don't mind.
I think that'd be great.
Okay.
If you're willing to do it, that'd be great.
So Myra, are you going to do that in conjunction with Deb or Rebecca or both? Or are you just going to take over and say, Lindsay, I'm Myra, I'm on the committee, I'm calling to follow up on?
I don't mind taking it on, but I think it makes it easier time-wise. I'm actually familiar with her, so I don't mind giving her a call or an email to ask about that idea.
Awesome.
The idea is for her to come do a presentation to this committee that will be recorded, and you guys will ask her all the tough questions about how to navigate the website.
Right, either herself or someone who's available at that time.
It strikes me if we do a recorded Zoom like these are, and if she can share screen so that we can see the calendar on her desktop or however she wants that set up. Or anyway, I'm willing to support, or more than happy to support this, Myra. And even if I share my screen and Lindsay just tells me what to do, either way is totally fine with me.
Actually, yes, I think that would be great.
You know what I'm thinking about is maybe it's a matter of sharing the idea of creating a tutorial that can be put out there that doesn't necessarily even involve us or trying to capture an ideal tutorial from our meeting, but putting the idea out there so that their IT department could work on creating a tutorial that's going to be very succinct, to the point, well crafted, that we could then help, promote or distribute or use.
And I could be behind the ball. It may exist. I just haven't checked out the new website. Maybe there is a tutorial on there.
I know, maybe it's on there, but it seems like Easthampton Media or Cider House or somebody might be willing to make the little tutorial. I'm also wondering, Derek, do you know if other CRCs around the country have, sorry, my timer's going off, have little video introductions to the different committees in a city, like with people being interviewed for 30 seconds, like, hi, we're the Public Safety Committee, and if you have a complaint about a sidewalk on which you fell, you would contact us. Like seems like that might be a nice little thing to have someday,
I don't know the answer to that. I would not be surprised if out of the thousands of CRCs across the country that one of them may have developed that. I mean,
Yeah.
We could have little intro videos on our web pages on the website.
Well, for educational purposes, if you fall on a city way, you have 30 days to put your claim into the mayor's, the city clerk's office, the city clerk. Now, it seems like he must have done that. So what to do after that? Well, then we can connect them to different places.
So,
But the idea of having committees introduce themselves and what they do is, great.
yeah, I just wanted to get us on that. Could we, so Myra, are you still gonna, so just before we get off on city committees doing videos, can we go back to Myra's original thought about the tutorial? Because I think there are two different things, so I don't want to lose that one.
Okay, I'm getting a little swirly circle. I'm trying to go onto the Easthampton website to see if a tutorial exists already. Because usually when you launch a program, you would probably have a tutorial. So I wanted to check that out.
It's either a tutorial or they'll do a FAQ, frequently asked questions.
Okay.
So walk people through usually. But to Patty's point, Myra, and Patty, I'm not trying to speak for you, but she's trying to clarify exactly what it is you're agreeing to do.
I am agreeing to reach out to Lindsay Miller to see if she or someone else can represent her to discuss about upgrades to the city website and how to navigate as a resident accessing the new the new platform. So that's what I'm agreeing to do. If it already exists, then perhaps we can, if there's something in existence, then perhaps we can narrow our request, or rather clarify our request to have like a, like you said, a question and answer type of engagement activity.
I mean, if they already have one, and
Yeah, I'm trying to get to the website.
yeah. No, but what I was going to say is somebody had said that there was a thought about having Lindsay or somebody else at our meeting to go through it, and maybe if there is already a tutorial, maybe they still be invited to go through the tutorial at a CRC meeting to share with people and let people know that that's happening, and there can be a link to that as well. That's all I was going to say.
I'm sort of wondering, like, what if you brainstorm with Lindsay on what would be most helpful, our interest being educating the public about the website and how to use it. Whether they have an FAQ, whether they have ability to set something up, or whether there's something we can do. But we would like to make that connection. At our last meeting, I'd say a good percentage of CRC members didn't know about the calendar on the website. So, I mean, first of all, it needs to be known, and somehow, if we can be of help to educate the public on it and how to use it.
So maybe we could have Myra just take that on, do the little bit of poking around to see what is available, and then follow up with Lindsay, and then come back and and make a plan. And I'm comfortable giving Myra a little room to do what she needs to do, and go forward from there. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah. I'm just thinking that it's in the interest of efficiency to have Myra kind of figure out what's out there, what's available currently, what isn't, and then talk to Lindsay about it and maybe make the suggestions about tutorials. But I guess I'm just thinking to have anyone come and go through that with us might be a little bit laborious and not the most effective way to reach the community.
We can share our idea out and then figure out what maybe our next steps can be, and I can update you via email of what the discussion was, so then we can plan for the next step. And for some reason I can't get on the website, it's just a little swirly.
Great. Okay.
Right. Sounds good.
Right. Thank you, Myra.
No problem.
Thank you, Myra.
And I don't want to forget, I think this idea of the little, I'm also concerned, I don't know if this is where we're at. We got into a little brainstorm, which is cool. But this idea of introducing the committee members to the public, I love that in little videos. I don't know if that's a discussion we want to get into right now, if that's a little parking lot. Derek, if you want to let me know where you're at with your agenda and how something like that would fit in, that would be great.
Yeah, so right now, wanted to follow up on the one task that we had from last week that kind of was foundational to where we were in the discussion. So, and I didn't want to leave that off to the side and nothing done other than, well, we reached out to Lindsay. It's hard. And so not to move on. So I would propose now that we have some momentum with Myra, we know that we're going to get a tutorial on how to navigate the city website in one shape, form, or another. We'll leave that up to Myra's tenacity to accomplish. That would be, again, if it's about educating the public about CRC's mission, it's fair game. So Patty, your suggestion is to interview committee members, current committee members?
I think Emily actually brought it up and had a really nice, stated it in a really nice way. So maybe, yeah.
Well, I just thought, rather than poring over minutes and, looking at trying to figure out what a committee is about by reading, maybe each committee could have a short little video. It doesn't have to have all the members in it, but maybe a few members could say, hi, we're from the Community Relations Committee, we started a few years ago. One of the things we're working on is this, and if you have any concerns about this, this is how you reach us. We often meet on Tuesdays. And then, if it is a video that's made by somebody who knows how to do this, then you could show the actual page of the website and where you would go to see where the next meeting is listed, something like that. And it could be 30 seconds or 1 minute. I would be really interested to see who's on the school committee and who's on the various committees. I'd like to put faces to names, maybe other people don't care, but I would like that. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thoughts, feedback for that idea?
I do like that idea. There's so many different types of learners and how people take information in, and a lot of people prefer, visuals. So, and that captures their attention more than reading and scrolling, etc. And it makes it more personal. So I rather like that idea. A committee snatch.
Mm-hmm.
So Emily, this is coming.
Well, sure. In one of my former careers, I did learn how to edit video, and I really wanted to get into it. And, but anyway, yes, I can look into, I don't know, where should I start?
So not looking into
email the
make it happen. We're not looking into it. Right. Make it happen.
I would think Easthampton Media.
Right.
Be the first place to call.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I guess. I think, and I guess maybe it would be good to start there, but is there any committee chairs that that you would kind of the person and you would feel comfortable just calling them up and talking this through with them a little bit to see if I would think they would like to do it.
Right.
I can think of 2 chairs that are immediately available. Like maybe first you start at home.
I was just going to suggest that I think that if we're talking about having this go on the city website, well, the first person we need to talk to about this is Lindsay again.
Mhm.
And that we need to see if she would be willing to allow that to happen, if we could get her to buy into this idea and see if she would be willing to get behind it
Mhm.
and talk about, and she may suggest their own IT department ahead of Easthampton Media, maybe, I don't know, or maybe they don't have the capacity and Easthampton Media would be a perfect way to go. But I'm thinking that the first step is, because I don't think I don't think we should get too far ahead of ourselves if we don't have the buy-in or acceptance from the people in charge of the website. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
So I think Lindsay should probably be the first point of contact to discuss this with.
Okay. So I can email Lindsay. You want me to do that? And
Sure.
get her buy-in and see if there's buy-in, see who would need to give buy-in.
Since
then-
Myra's, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but since Myra's reaching out too, can you guys
Oh, yeah.
partner on
Yeah.
this?
Right.
Just to use Lindsay's time effectively?
Yep.
Mhm.
We can collaborate on an email.
Right.
So I'm going to what if this. What if Lindsay says, you know what, I'm stressed, I'm burnt out, and I don't have time. It's a great idea, but ain't going to happen.
Then we're going to go to de facto Rebecca, who's already offered to share her screen and do a live video.
Right.
Well, you could kind of follow up with things like, maybe it doesn't need to take a lot of her time, and that we're willing to orchestrate it. We're willing to communicate about it. We're willing to talk to people to make it happen outside of the city if there's no capacity for that within the city structure.
Mhm.
And kind of, if it doesn't have to require a lot of her time, could we help can we make it happen,
Mhm.
without taking up
Right.
much or any of her time?
Yeah. Mhm.
So nowadays, an iPhone and a tripod can be your camera, right? It's not
I know. Exactly.
equipment intensive.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would also suggest that I think it's a great idea. I mean, I think it's a really fantastic idea. And I would say that, if she pushed back at all, that we see this as a really important step for the CRC, moving forward in its mission.
Mhm.
And, we'll,
Mhm.
I guess, talk to the mayor if you don't have time to deal with it as well,
Mhm.
along with what Deb said.
Mhm.
The other thing is, she did mention when we were talking with her that when we talked about wanting to have like an update to our page, for example, we have a screenshot of one of our Zoom meetings, and it has a couple of members and featured that aren't with us anymore. So we were talking about updates to our page, and she said the person that is the contact person for updates for the pages like that, city committees, is Barbara LaBombard, our city clerk. So that's another possibility, that maybe it doesn't really necessarily, maybe it's something that we end up working with Barbara on, and that's something to ask about. Like,
Mhm.
it may not need to
Mhm.
take up much of Lindsay's time, and maybe Barbara ends up being the next person we need to talk to.
Okay.
Yeah, and if I can chime in, I think she also mentioned the IT person.
Mhm.
Right. There's the IT department's doing a lot of it. Yeah. So
Who is?
I think Lindsay would be the first person to speak to, because she seems to be the overseer of all of this and the lead person on the website. And then from there, maybe if she doesn't want to get into any of that due to time constraints, maybe she'd be willing to let us talk to Barbara about it, or IT people, or Easthampton Media.
She'd probably have a suggestion.
Yeah.
So is the question not producing the video, but just getting the video uploaded under the city's website?
I
Or
think
both.
it's twofold. how do we produce it? And then where will it be promoted, stored, et cetera?
And what kind of guidelines are provided for what it should contain? Like what kind of setting the standard for what we're looking for, defining it?
And we'll have to think of accessibility.
So one other question too, and I should know this, isn't there like a university or college there in the area?
We're in what's known as the 5 College area.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, we have a lot of them.
Like a media department or journalism department and maybe recruiting students. I mean, if students ask questions that they wanted to know about how city government functions, I think it would be interesting. And then they could take this on as a project, and all you're doing is giving them the assignment and collecting the reward, right? Or the video.
Right. Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Easthampton High School probably has a number of students who are super interested in making videos in their future. The prep schools right down the street as well. It would be a way to like involve students with city government and learn about city government. And
they'll also learn about the CRC.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to say there's something existing in the city already within the high school. I don't know what its proper name is, the Diversity Inclusion Center. And they were part of their, I'm not exactly sure, but part of their requirement was that they participate in city governance, participate in a committee. Sorry, I'm hearing feedback. Distracting myself. So that might be another avenue of people to reach out to. Like, do you have any questions? And then make them real. Like, how would we answer these questions? But this is all just brainstorming.
How do we take brainstorming to action? So, but still to move these now 2 projects simultaneously, Emily and Myra are going to work together to make it happen. And if a challenge comes before you, you can bring it back, but not drop the ball.
Okay. Got it.
And I also know that this is low-hanging fruit, but once you accomplish that, you've got one success under your belt and could move like football, Rebecca. You're able to move on and tackle other things, and also you're working as a team. The other issue so this one I'm feeling a little bit better about. I've got not the most fleshed out concrete steps, but we know who's going to do what in the long run. And I'm assuming that you'll have a report back for the next CRC meeting. You'll report back on the progress you've made, challenges you've encountered. It's an opportunity to figure out how to get around any challenges.
Well, depending on when that is, I can commit to drafting an email and sending it out no later than the end of this week. And Emily, maybe you and I can touch base about it.
Yeah, I could do that. Yep.
Just like to offer up Friday is my birthday.
Oh,
and Saturday is Bryce's. So
okay.
Happy birthday, Myra.
Happy.
Thank you. I'm going to be many years older
You're
than
going to
21.
be 20 plus a couple, yeah.
Plus 20 gray hairs. But I'll get it done.
So the next thing that we talked about in terms of it kind of was foundational to moving forward. It was about leveraging other resources, other organizations, other individuals in the community that have similar missions. Some of the thought was that better understanding what they do you can learn how you can support them, they can support you. And if there's doing programming, for example, the dispelling racism, et cetera, whatever group is sponsoring that or working on that, what are they doing? Are they going to do it again? Is it something that you could support or otherwise? So in terms of organizations that this committee should start an outreach plan with, what would those organizations be? Outside of the city.
So can I just interrupt and ask one question?
Mhm.
Can we go back to which priority,
That
just,
is-
yeah, reread the original.
Mhm.
Oh, was it number 4? Enlist the cooperation of other government agencies, groups, and organizations.
Community extended to community relations. When we met last, at least from my notes, that was again from the discussion, kind of foundational, because when you were talking about promoting events in the community, when you're talking about the educational opportunities, et cetera, it all was, well, maybe there's somebody else doing this, or maybe, and so it became kind of the words that I had in my notes, kind of foundational as to better understand the landscape, who's doing what, who really is aligned with your current goals, and who's not. As you build your programming out, what opportunities are there to leverage?
Okay, because originally I was thinking of it in terms of as we come up with programs and ideas that we would then be thinking about who could we reach out to help support whatever it is we're doing. Like say, for example, when we talked about doing some kind of new 2021 version of the Welcome Wagon, like what organizations could help support that or help be a part of that, and thinking of like the Chamber of Commerce or, so like looking at it that way in terms of, okay, when we have this program or this idea, who would we reach out to for support, for help, for joining with us? But I wasn't thinking of it the way you are in terms of starting off looking to just better understand what they're currently doing that might be related to what we want to do. I hadn't thought of it that way.
How about the civil rights department? I'm not sure if that's exactly what it's called. Civil Rights Division or something like that.
For what agency?
What's that?
For what agency?
Aren't they connected with the DOJ to a degree?
Yeah, so the DOJ does have a civil rights division. So there would be one at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the state of Massachusetts. And if you, so there's a couple things there. They do have a civil rights division, and they would love to, I'm speaking on their behalf, but just as I've grown to know them, they would love to make a presentation to your group in terms of the work that they do and the outreach that they conduct as well. And if you'd like, I could forward you that contact, but I think that would be a really good one, especially if people in the community have concerns, civil rights concerns. You have a good understanding of where they should go and what type of incidents that the U.S. Attorney's Office would take on. And from what I understand, the state has a civil rights office as well. Two good ones. I still don't think the chamber is a bad one, Deb, to reach out to.
Forgive me. Are we brainstorming right now on
Brainstorming.
places to help us out with a welcome wagon?
No, not.
No? What are we doing?
So again, just identifying community resources, right?
Mhm.
So, and they may help you with your welcome wagon, they may not, but you'll better understand before you ask if they'll be able to help and how. But in the meantime, again, like this gentleman here, if the state has or the city has a department on, I'm not diagnosing the gentleman, but like mental health, you could talk to those folks and better understand their intake process and what type of cases they're looking for. It educates you as a commission so that you could educate the public. And if you're seeking to do a programming that touches on people with disabilities, you've already made the contact, you understand what they could do to support you in that effort. And it becomes, first off, it's not an introduction, it's an ask at that point because you've already done the introduction. And typically people will say yes to folks they know. So it's just building the groundwork so that when you do programming, you know who you can leverage to help you move forward and why. That answer your question, Emily?
I think so.
Yeah. So it's yeah. So within the city, I would be curious in terms of if there's a multicultural, multi-ethnic organization there in Easthampton. That's a question. If there is, what type of programmings do they have? Who do they offer it to? Do they do programming? How many times a year? Do they work with others in the community? And then if you take all that information and you're like, well, they do this and this and this, maybe we could work with them to do an extra program. And here's why.
So Derek, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So if we identify these different groups, agencies, whatever you want to call them, organizations, is the suggestion that like maybe we each go and introduce ourselves to them? Like I go to 2 and Myra goes to 2 and Jan goes to 2 and introduce ourselves as community relations committee members, and we're working on these things in the community and we just want to say hey and let you know we're doing stuff.
Yeah, that we're working on an action, we're working on a strategic plan, an action plan, or we're trying to better understand who in the community is doing similar programming or who we might be able to partner with in the future. We are aware of your organization and we'd like to know more. And if we are interested in working with you in the future, who should we call?
So
one other byproduct of that is too, and to me it's strategic, it's letting people know that you're out there and that you're working and that in some way that they will be hearing from you soon.
So it sounds like, would it make sense for us to all make a list of agencies we think would be good? And maybe we were supposed to have done that for tonight, but I certainly didn't. And for next time and then we'll have a list instead of trying to think of them right this second.
Fair enough. Okay, that's fair enough for me. I would suggest, yeah, create the list, identify who's going to make the contact, and then when they, it takes time to schedule opportunities, but then they need to report back to the group what they found.
Yep.
But that seems to work. And then that way the folks that aren't here could also make suggestions to the list.
I'm asking the group here, should we just bring them next time, or should we should everybody email them to somebody so they could be put in like a little spreadsheet so then we can all agree upon those because I feel like we should agree on the organizations that we're reaching out to. Not that I don't trust anybody, but you never know. Somebody could put something, I don't know, whatever.
Why don't we have everyone submit as your homework? We'll figure out when our next meeting is and then have a deadline for submitting a list. And then we'll just have that list compiled to bring to the next meeting for discussion.
So we could put it in.
Review and discussion.
And we can look at it on together. That makes sense?
Yeah. And I would just, again, if somebody forgets to do their homework or runs out of time to do their homework, just be open to also spending some time to brainstorm, just in case life gets busy.
Sure.
The other thing I would suggest is be creative with that. Arts, culture, students, activists, advocates, all those, even if it's just a one-man show, if they are influencers, learn more about them. If all hell breaks loose in Easthampton and one side is pitted against another, do you know who to go to better understand the issues? If you wanted to hold a public forum to air out whatever the concerns are, do you have to hunt them down? And by the time you get them down, the issue's old? Or will you know who they are because you've already met them, they know you, and you can bring them in to air out whatever the differences may be? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, but is this the next meeting or 2 meetings down the road?
Next meeting.
Next meeting, okay.
Who wants to who should we submit to the list to?
How about that?
You'll do that, Deb? Or
Sure.
John, what?
I said, how about that? Central, keep it central.
Yeah.
And then, Deb, I know you were thinking one other thing, and I'm not tied to my idea, so I wanted to make sure, are you comfortable, or you still want to check in with you?
Oh, no, that sounds like a great idea. I had just not previously thought of it that way, that our statement there, I hadn't thought of it the way you are. And yeah, I just think that when the time comes too, that we work on other programs or initiatives, that it'll make good sense at that point to reach out to whoever on that list we think could perhaps support what we want to do. So I guess I'm thinking the way I was thinking of it, I'd wait till there was a specific program or need or objective that we wanted to get some help with, support for.
And I get.
And to clarify, this is external to the city?
This would be
external like city committees?
External, I would say external to the city and city committees. So for example, if something happened in the Senegalese community and there was a major uproar and everybody's looking to the CRC to bring understanding, who would you call?
What committee? Yeah. What community did you say?
The Senegalese.
Senegalese, yes.
I don't know if there's a Senegalese community in Easthampton. I just pulled that one out of a hat. But again,
there was.
It could be an issue over menorah this holiday season. It could be something around January 6th when that anniversary rolls around. If the community is looking for a community response, are you guys prepared? But if nothing happens, at least you understand who's doing what in your community, and if you need them, you know who to call. So I would want to know, what are you doing? What are you planning on doing? Do you work with others in the community? Would you, not saying that we're doing it, but would you ever be willing to work with a city committee? I wouldn't even obligate ourselves. Who will we contact if we wanted to reach out to you in the future?
Just bringing that up just made me think of another organization, the Southern Poverty Law Center, something like that. So they would give you a wealth of information on hate crimes and hate groups.
specifically hate groups that may be operating in your area. They could teach you what to look for.
Mhm.
And again, if somebody says, I suspect there's hate group activity I know in my former region, they would pamphlet or leaflet about once or twice a year. Always the community got into an uproar. They wanted answers. The last thing that I wanted to follow up with, and that was better understanding, and this is just an idea, shoot it down. But having somebody in the committee having a conversation with the mayor to understand, is there funding available? Do you need to submit a budget request? If so, by when? What expectations? What are the standards in submitting that? What does that proposal look like? And I don't know when the city's fiscal year ends or begins, but my guess is it's typically in the spring, or it's in the fall. If it's in the spring, you may have a short window of time. If the mayor already has a number in mind, can you still tap into that? And if so, what type of programming? And after you hear that from the mayor, do you want to tie in to take advantage of the funds to do that type of programming? But a conversation with the mayor or somebody in terms of how do you get the staff person to do communications or whatever you need. I would be wanting to know, how do I access that? And either that's inviting her to the committee, which I don't know if that's doable, or if it's, again, someone from the committee scheduling an opportunity to meet with her to ask the questions. I would dare say have the committee collectively brainstorm what questions to ask the mayor moving forward, and then take that to the mayor, ask the questions, and then report back.
Mhm.
Suggestion now, kick it to the curb, whatever you need to do. But it was brought up, and it sounds like, again, a foundational next step to move forward relatively quickly to do anything this summer if there's a budget available. Also, the other question I would have is, if you got city funding, how is it dispersed? Is it all salary? Do you have programmatic funds that are available? Do you need a signatory? Do you need an account? Do you need to have accounting?
The mayor before had given us like $5,000 for a couple of different times that we didn't end up using because we were going to use it for a forum, and then it never actually materialized. So she did have that for us. And then at one point she had alluded to the fact that she thought she could have significantly more money for us, but we never got to the point of needing it. So we never got to ask all those specific questions, but we didn't get far enough along in the process to actually need it.
So thank you to Emily for sharing that the fiscal year is September 30th. So if prior to September 30th, again, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, kick it to the curb, but are there discretionary funds, or is there any way that we could access money before September 30th, or do we have to wait a full year to access funds? And if you're able to get funds before next fiscal year, would you be willing to, for example, that was my other question I had, was the last meeting we talked about reconvening the forums subcommittee to take on the priority about education. And so my takeaway was, yeah, let's bring the forum committee, subcommittee to take in, and then they'll take this on and lead us in whatever direction they need to go. Most forums, you want to buy water, snacks, something. But again, is it a budget issue? And if it's not, can they apply for next year to do something even bigger? Can you do a speaker series, pay honorariums? But as you develop programs and dialogues and forums soon, I hope. Then just getting prepared so that you organizationally know what those answers are. So I'll back up. Is there somebody willing to make outreach to the mayor prior to September 30th to just ask if there's money available before next fiscal year, which is a year from now?
I actually thought the fiscal year ends June 30th. I thought that's, yeah, the fiscal year is
I'm inclined to agree with that.
July 1 to June 30th. I'm pretty sure.
It's because last time we
That's
were
how the
given,
school runs.
Mhm.
when we were given funds, we were needed to use it by summer.
Right. Yeah, it was June 30th. Mhm.
But I forgot the name of the process when you go before, or I don't know if it would be a committee chair or it would have to be the mayor. I'm not sure of how you ask for like an appropriation or whatever it's called.
Well, the
And
mayor, the money that she had there, she was able to designate the money because of whatever designation it was without having to go through the city. Like she was able, I don't know if she ultimately had to get city council's approval, but there was some funds that she had access to that was going to be the money that we would use. So I think the thing to do would be to reach out to her again and ask her what that is. But the thing that bothers me a little bit is that when we initially asked, you know, she said, well, I have these funds over here and these funds over here. Like it feels very like unstable. Like we should have, like it would feel better if we had a budget that we knew about, like that was designated for CRC and not, oh, we have this fund over here that we can take that money from if you want it. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's all.
So I would try to nail her down as specific as possible and follow through. And then my question to you is, if the number I've kind of heard back and forth is $5,000. So if you had $5,000, what would you do with it? And I don't know if that is $5,000 to accomplish a certain type of program, but you would need to figure out what you would do with it. And then if the money needs to be used before the next fiscal year, I'd have to find out when I need to use it by, and then you have to use it, which means then you're going to have to actually do a program.
Mm-hmm.
So again, who's going to reach out, or will you reach out? Is it a good idea, or do we want to kick the can on this one and do it later in terms of outreach to the mayor?
I guess I could see us waiting a little bit till we had a better handle on what it is we might want to be pursuing, and then go to her and request funds.
But what if, and I'm what ifing, so what if her funds are that I have $5,000 for the CRC, but you have to do an event on a Friday for a high school, and you have to teach them about civics. I mean, what if the funds come with some kind of limitation? So it's not like I want to do this program, but it's the funds are available to do this type of work, if that makes sense.
I don't think, I mean, based on what she did before, I don't think that would be the case.
Okay.
But if you want to play what ifs, then, you know, whatever.
So, but your thought then is that the funds have no restrictions?
Yes. I mean, reasonable. You know.
Right, as long as she felt like it was a worthwhile program, right?
Or no, well, I don't even know if she needs to feel it's worthwhile, but it just would need to be like not a pizza party for the CRC people.
Right. Well, that's what yeah. Right.
But yeah, I mean,
legitimate requests.
I actually don't see any problem with reaching out to her and being like, you know, we're doing this strategic planning and, you know, we don't have anything in mind yet, but we're just curious about, you know, if we have a similar budget as we had last year.
And how do we access it? Because other than being an idea, you want specifics, and then you can actually say, I've got $5,000. I need to use it by X date. This is what the mayor expects me to do with this money, and I'm ready to execute. Instead of being an idea and a thought, it has. I'm trying to get it shifted to action.
Mm-hmm.
So with the mayor, Deb, you said it would be best to wait.
Well, that was kind of my thinking, is to just wait a little bit longer till we have some more action plans fleshed out, I guess.
I don't think it's a bad idea to ask her sooner rather than later, so she doesn't forget that we need money. We might need money before June, you know, to use by June. And it would be by June because that is the end of the fiscal year. So I don't think it's, I mean, I don't, you know, it's a quick question.
Okay, I nominate Patty.
I will email her and find out.
What'd you say, Patty?
I'll email her and find out.
Okay.
Super.
I'm sure, Patty, what are you going to find out?
You're gonna find out how much money we have, so we can have a pizza party.
And as Derek says, how do we access it?
Yes.
We just have Antonio Diller.
Board it from New York.
Lenny's in Brooklyn.
Okay. You got it, John.
Okay, good deal. Oh, then last is the forums subcommittee. The last meeting, you discussed reconvening that and and I'm not trying to lay out exactly what you agreed on, but you wanted to revisit reconvening the forums subcommittee to actually lead programming.
And our forum subcommittee consisted of Myra, Emily, and Jan, correct?
And they're all here.
What do you think about reconvening? What are your thoughts?
I'm up for it.
I am, as long as we have like some directionality at Freedom.
Some what did you say, Myra? What?
Some directionality of what might we be doing. Because I can always hang out with Jan and Emily, no problem. But what is our target, and do we have freedom in that? Because I would hate to write something up and then just sit on it and be like, you know, I don't want to waste time. So would it be another brainstorming session? Would you have, or would we like to revisit and revamp what we had? What would that reconvening look like?
Can you all refresh our memories on where we left off?
We left off giving you a proposal with dates about potential speakers. I've now forgotten the subject. And it was reviewed and then paused. And what was it like conversations on, I don't really remember, to tell you the truth.
And it may have been, may have had something to do with that. I don't know.
Like communicating across differences?
Something to that regard.
Okay.
Like how to communicate effectively with people who think differently than you do or have differing perspectives.
Perceptions.
Yeah, I'd have to pull it up.
That seems like it's a continues to be a topic that would be really helpful.
So does our reconvening look like we're revamping that, or we're just, I'll speak to that.
Or narrowing it.
Okay, so maybe we just review what we have. We'll just pick a time and review and see if it's still appropriate and represent.
Okay.
Emily, you're on mute.
Sounds good.
Sorry. I can remind Myra and Jan that like the options that we were going to investigate, well, our criteria for selection was organizations that are diverse, organizations familiar with the context of Massachusetts, Western Mass, and or Easthampton, and then organizations with a track record for online interactive format. And our current options were People's Institute for Survival and Beyond, Karuna Center for Peace Building, Dr. Paula Green, Patricia Romney, the individual facilitator with Paula Green, or like who was suggested by Paula Green, and then Gwendolyn Van Sant, CEO and founding director and curriculum lead for training and education, equity and inclusion team lead. And then I guess there was another one added by the committee later. And then Myra and I, maybe Jan was there too, our questions were, like we had all these questions we were going to ask, like, have you facilitated an anti-racism, anti-bias seminar via Zoom before? Do you have the capacity to host, facilitate an online interactive community-based event? Do you have your own technology support person to help facilitate it? Small discussions. How do you charge for a 90-minute seminar event? What are your track record with these events? What recent events have you facilitated around these topics? Do you have survey records, video, documentations, advertisement reviews, or community feedback? Please share a bit about the diversity of your organization and your facilitators. Have you handled conflict with group members concerning race and bias? Are you open to learning about the race, politics, and community tension in the context of Easthampton? When would you be available? What would your period of preparation be? Would you be open to meeting with the CRC Forum Subcommittee? And then would you be willing to co-facilitate and co-plan with another facilitator? And then we would score it all. We have the scoring mechanism, a Likert scale from 0 to 5 on all those things. And then they look at the total score. I wrote down, does it match your relative assessment of the others? Oh, I guess that's a question for us, maybe? Was that for us, Myra?
That was for us, like
Yeah, okay.
inter-rater reliability or something.
Yeah. Inter-rate reliability. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can review that, see if our topic is still pertinent, if we want to add or whatever. But
Yeah.
I have no problem again.
My internet connection is bad. What did you say, Myra?
I said I was trailing off. I don't have a problem. Like if you want to meet again, if that's what we need, so we can set a date and a time for that.
Okay.
Sounds good.
How about Friday, September 24th at 6 p.m., right at dinner time? I'm kidding. Cake time, 8 o'clock? No. Okay. Jan, when are you available?
Let me see. This was a pretty good time for me today.
Yeah.
I can, if it was a Friday, I can do.
All right.
Yeah, not saying I would want to, but my day usually goes.
Right.
I'm still seeing people.
Right.
Up into the evening. So
yeah.
I'm just trying to think.
Yeah. Tuesday evenings work for me, and also Sunday afternoons.
I could do those too.
You guys could come to my house. We could sit outside.
Well,
that sounds cool.
That works.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm available on Tuesday, Thursday, and the weekend.
Did you guys pick a date? Did you guys have a date to meet?
Calendar.
So it sounds like Tuesdays or Sundays. And while you guys are doing that, I just to everyone else, I don't want to feel like this is force fed. And so if you have any concerns, I invite anyone to share them. This is the time. And I would also offer to be more honest. But I think it's important that your thoughts be heard if there's any other feedback that you have about, and I'll review with the agreements that I understood have been reached tonight. So I'm assuming this is unanimous, but this is what I have. So I have that Myra and Emily will reach out to Lindsay. And I don't have Lindsay's last name, but you know, the Lindsay that I'm speaking of that does communications. And they'll talk about creating a tutorial or somehow how to navigate the website is one aspect of this. So that it can be put on the city's website. And the other part were putting on the website videos introducing the different committees in city government by interviewing committee chairs or committee members for 1 to 3 minutes. Those short videos would go up on the website. But the first thing would be to work with Lindsay to make sure that it is okay to put things up on the website. Did I get that right? And then that Myra and Emily will report back at the next the next scheduled committee meeting.
Yep.
In terms of the video, if Lindsay was too stressed out, my challenge to you two were to not take a challenge as a no, but make a challenge and brainstorm with the committee how to make it happen. And the goal is the tutorial and interviews of committee chairs. The second piece was that there'll be an invitation sent to all committee members to brainstorm and forward to Deb a list of groups and organizations that you would like to make contact with. And then at the next committee meeting, you'll review that list and agree upon which ones should be outreached to and who will do that, conduct that outreach, and when you can expect that outreach to be completed. In essence, what you'll end up to is kind of a resource guide to, you know, what's going on in terms of related work in Easthampton. You know, we know who's doing what. The next thing I have is that Patty will email the mayor to find out how much money is available in the current fiscal year and how is it accessed, and any other kind of how do we get money type of questions that she can think of. And we'll report back to the CRC committee by next meeting, Patty, or the meeting after that, next meeting? Perfect. And then the last agreement that I have is that the forum subcommittee will reconvene and restart their prior work identifying facilitators to conduct a program that the committee will screen and then submit to the full committee for their consideration and approval. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if all those things are done, so for example, the outreach, et cetera, you'll have folks know that you're active, you're engaged, and expect big things in the near future. You'll be prepared to do big things in the near future, and you'll already be getting to be seen as kind of a mover and shaker and go-to person in city government in terms of how city government works. Can I check in the next quarter? So you're 1, 2, 3 meetings down the road just to see how you guys are doing? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
3 meetings down the road, I'm going to look forward to watching the videos on the website, hearing about all the wonderful organizations and individuals in Easthampton that are doing some very supportive work to your mission. I'm going to hear about the budget that you have and how you plan on spending it, by when. And then also by that time, really probably a good understanding of what the first real, true educational program is going to be. Mm-hmm. Sounds like a deal?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Great. Thank you, Derek.
Quick question. Jan, are you available on October 10th, Sunday afternoon?
Let's see.
For like an hour, no more than 2 hours.
I should be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys, okay, I'll be in touch via email, but let's, you guys can come to my house, and if it's pouring out, we can talk about whatever, inside masks, all that crap. Yeah.
No problem.
Okay.
So you'll figure out a time.
Yeah. Like what
Okay.
is there? I would say any time after 1.
Can we?
Sounds good.
That's short.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it's
Yeah.
8:15 now. Maybe you guys could email something. Sorry.
No problem.
So I have one last thing, and then I'll yield my time. But to Deb and Patty, I will write up, for lack of a better word, a report that'll summarize these final agreements as well, the process that we went through, et cetera, and I'll submit that to you within the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, Derek.
Sounds great.
To
Sounds
fellow
great.
committee members, the ones that aren't here tonight as well, it's been a real pleasure, and I look forward to hearing the great things you guys are accomplishing in 3 months. So,
Thank you.
you bet.
Thank you very much, Derek.
Mhm. Bye-bye.
Can we ask you one question before you go?
Sure.
How's it going with your move to Massachusetts?
So good question. I had this meeting last week with all the big wigs in our agency, and this whole COVID thing is weird. So I told them I'm long story. So yeah, it's going. So right now I'm trying to figure out, will they put me in a hotel for 30 days while I look for a place to stay and then find, so we're working through some of those financial considerations at the moment, but that's it. And then also, this is kind of an aside, but we just had a meeting this afternoon with the Attorney General's office, and then we'll meet the Attorney General Merrick Garland on tomorrow. But now they're really exploring, how do we do this work remotely, period. So you don't have to be bound to an office in a city. You could maybe just be somewhere in the state and do what you have to do. But we'll see. But
So
yeah,
there's hope. There's hope of you becoming an Easthampton resident after all.
There is. There is. I'll keep you guys posted.
All right.
All right.
Take
Thank
care,
you very
everybody.
much, Derek. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek.
Good luck.
Take care.
Same. Goodbye.
Bye. Okay, so we'll wrap up quick. We just need to set a date for our next meeting. If we could do that. Refresh my memory. Our meetings, we originally had said they were going to be the first Tuesday of the month, correct? That was our original goal for meetings. So what I'm wondering is, that would be 2 weeks from now, Tuesday, October 5th. Is that too soon? Does that work for people?
So I actually can no longer meet the first and third Tuesdays of the month because of another meeting conflict.
Okay. So originally we were avoiding the second and the fourth due to school committee meetings, correct? So I guess that gives us no choice but then to go with the second or the fourth. So what do you think about the 12th? October 12th, Tuesday.
That works.
I could do that.
Rebecca, that's good with you? I'm trying to remember now. I know you had some conflicts on Tuesdays and I can't remember now what your conflicts were.
Well, it's kind of a past thing, and it used to be joined by my mom.
Your mom, okay. Yeah,
She's not with us anymore.
okay. I'm sorry.
Mm.
I have a question. Are we now moving the start times always to 6:30?
Not necessarily, 6 or 6:30, whatever works better for people. I had made that request once because I had a conflict with another city meeting that I needed to, on the school building committees, but as of right now, I don't have that conflict, so.
Yeah, 6 o'clock is going to be better for me. I'm going to start having a work conflict on Tuesdays, but I can at least get here for 6 to 7. Nothing I can
Okay. All right, so can we go for Tuesday, October 12th from 6? We'll try harder to shorten up our meetings. We'll try hard. Can we go for Tuesday, October 12th at 6 o'clock? Does that work? Awesome. Okay. Perfect. We'll plan on that. And we'll do all the other things.
Super.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
All right,
I
now
honest-
which of those seconds do I need to pick?
Pick one.
All right.
I saw Jan Norman's hand. Okay, so I think Patty was the first and Jan was the second.
And so Emily, Rebecca always insists that we go through the roll call. I think we could just do show of hands on that, but she insists.
You see, it doesn't show on the video.
Okay.
I mean, there are reasons. It's not because of me. It's because of what I learned through the AG.
I see. Okay.
The video shows whoever's speaking, so they don't see you unless you say yes or whatever.
Okay. See, she knows best. She knows best. Just, okay. Rebecca Passa,
Yes.
Patty Dougherty,
Yes.
Emily Britton,
Yes.
Jan Norman,
Yes.
Myra Oyedemi,
Yes.
Gabby Stevenson,
Yes.
Deborah Lisnia, yes. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.